High above the male-only prayer room sits this unique chandelier. It forms a major part of the multi-million-dollar mosque renovation.
Well, with these ceiling lights that you're seeing behind me, everything has been made custom. It's designed specifically and unique to this mosque, the Holland Park Mosque. Every element of that is changeable. So, for example, the colour, the size, the way that it sits, even the way that we've written the creed of faith around the letters, and how that reflects through to the flooring as well. Everything has been thought of and everything is centralised to the middle of the dome and the direction that we face, which is our Qibla towards Makkah.
Below this floor, there's a similar prayer area for women and children.
The section for women is downstairs. It's about 70% of the space that the top floor has got. But primarily, the architecture is pretty much the same as the top floor, the men's section.
The mosque was opened 114 years ago, and it was a simple structure.
Originally, it was built as a Queenslander in 1908, and it was built by the people that came to work on the cane fields and pick bananas. They were the Indian labourers from the Indian subcontinent. They pooled their money together and they actually did most of the labouring of the mosque. And they built it as a Queenslander. This part here is a laneway that moved to the area where they used to wash themselves. The Muslims wash themselves before they pray. And down here is the water tank, and here is a view of the veranda.
When it was in its early days, Muslims came from far and wide to pray and make friends with other Muslims.
Now, in the early days, it was a very small Muslim population, and they came as far as Lismore and Hope Island and all those areas because there were only a small population. Now, most of these people, they were illiterate in English and they could only speak in their own language. So they used the mosque as a meeting place where they can speak their own language, celebrate their religious festivals, do their own cooking, and they had no women out here because the White Australia policy in 1901 would not let them bring their wives. So these men were very lonely, and they really used, the mosque was very central to their welfare because they felt like they were at home and they had family.
These days, it's hard to imagine how far the mosque seemed to be from Brisbane in 1908.
It was way out of the heart of Brisbane, and it was put in, it became an icon of Brisbane later on, but it was far out, and people didn't really even protest against having the mosque because in those days they wanted a white Christian country. So they didn't mind the mosque being out in the suburbs where it was difficult to get transport. We didn't have cars in those days, or there might have been only the wealthy that had the cars. It was horse and cart. They didn't have street lights. They didn't have paved roads. They didn't have running water. So it was out in the sticks, as far as we called it in those days, because Brisbane was like a one-horse town in those days.
The renovated mosque should be open for Ramadan on Saturday, April 2. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, observed by Muslims worldwide as a month of fasting, prayer, reflection and community.
There's so much needed in the community, and the old mosque hasn't had renovation for decades. This is the biggest renovation project in half a century, and I think it will last us quite a long time.
Is this the oldest mosque in Queensland?
It is the oldest mosque in Queensland and one of the oldest mosques and the only mosque which has never closed its doors in the last 100 years or over 100 years.
It wasn't just as simple as just a renovation or an extension. It was about, implementing what Islam means to Muslims in Australia and showing that as a representation of a building structure.
Where did you get the ideas from for the redevelopment?
All over the world, really. I've had the opportunity to travel before COVID, and I've seen a lot of things, and also the help of Google. But at the same time, our community as well, and none of them, all of them, have the best of cultures, and they really show different ideas when they've come. And this mosque design is not just mine; it's everyone who's come to this mosque, and everyone who's had an opinion. We've taken it on board and we've put it all together and made it one.